Bulger Park in Melrose Park, Illinois for the SSA Game of the Week. We got bad info. Starting time was 7:15, not 7, but we're here now. Kind of an overcast day. Lights haven't really taken effect yet. And see if I can brighten this up just a hair. There we go. And what you're about to see is 16-inch style softball, Chicago style. And you're seeing it correct, no gloves. Anthony Sanchez, we got the 45's versus Moneyline. I'll run through some of the rules for you newbies. And here's Anthony. Of course, we talk ad nauseum about the storied past of the 45's. They are a little short-handed today, so going to see some new faces that are old faces. Joe Yaris is here. I believe Kelly Patton might be in the lineup. And Sanchez looked like he might have hit a little bit off the end of the bat. Now it gets past Downs in right field. And Anthony's going to hustle into third with a stand-up triple. So Chris Downs came in. Ball took a little funny hop on that turf out there and bounced over him. Brings up Mike Marola. I'd like to congratulate Slap and Tickle on winning the Yuma tournament. Francisco Arenas did a little bit of a stream there, so you guys can check that out. So leadoff man on at third base. Wind blowing in on this diamond, and Marola slaps a hit out into center, 1-0 45's. So a couple of little humpbacks over the infield leads to a 45 run here in the top of the first. Brings up Scotty Vetter. Scotty off to a very good start, back to playing softball again. Rock Rosano on the hill here. And Scotty hits it hard. Handcuffed Jason Ganick at short. 3 straight hitters reach here. And the 45's may be short-handed, but they've come out of the gate firing. Kelly Patton also in the lineup tonight. Haven't seen Kelly on a softball field in a little bit. So 16-inch softball, no gloves, 99% of what we do. 60-foot bases, leadoff can't steal. 38 feet from the rubber to the point of home plate, 6'12" on the arc. I believe this is an open count lead. It's a 16-inch clincher. It is not a mush ball. And here's Chris Lentine. We also swing heavy bats. They can weigh up to 38 ounces, 34 inches long, 2 1/4 on the barrel. No fence here, so it's all you can get. And they do play the fence line down, out of bounds. And the lights here are pretty good. Eventually they should kick in. These are LED lights out here. And Chris Lentine pulls the ball hard. And Ryan Drebo makes the play. Both runners advance, so 1 out, second and third here. And here's Joe Yaris. I'm not sure if he's been out at all this season. First time I've seen him. Joe, one of the more pleasant guys in 16-inch softball.
We got one down over there. Play out here. One down. Right there, Scotty. Let it through.
And Joe, just like the old days, like he didn't miss a beat, Vetter did the kind of conned him into believing he was going to start, and then he cranked it up again and he scored 3-0. So they'll get a courtesy runner here. Chris Lentine. And I believe they're playing relaxed rules on the courtesy runners. Both teams agreed to that before the start of the ball game. And here's Joe Pauly. And Joe hits a high fly ball going back on it, coming in, Eric Davis, and he'll throw it in. And that is going to be the second out of the inning. And it's going to bring up the young right fielder, Isidro Di Santiago. So 3-0 early here. And Moneyline did score some runs in that Westchester tournament. If you didn't get a chance, go back. We got a few videos from that weekend. And that was a first leg of the Chicago Summer Series.
You're good, Chris.
And it was kind of an odd weekend. We dealt with high winds, and Friday night there was a dust storm that went through there. And Sidro fouls that down the right field line. So you can't see that flag blowing straight in from right field. It varies. Sometimes it swirls a little bit and it pushes more up the line than straight in. But so far, the 45's approach has been very good. They're laying out a lot of line drives and barreling up on it. Thanks, Nathan. It was good. I enjoyed a few days away. Got to recharge a little bit.
You're good.
So.
Come on, kid. Let's go, Robbie. Hey, sting it here. Let's go.
And Sidro, little ground ball, and it sneaks through. Lentino get to third. Downs hits the cutoff man, and that'll stop any further activity. So that's a good play by Chris. The runner's moving on the play. If you just lob that into second, he might keep running. Instead, he got up, and he threw a strike to the cutoff man. And here's Israel Sanchez with Kelly Patton on deck. See, Kelly's brother's here. Tends to come out whenever Kelly's running a team or playing. Well, we're going to see. And Israel, a soft loop just over Nick Drabel at short center. Drives in the fourth run. So, like I said, this is a good approach. This is a good approach that they've had here with this win. They're just basically been flipping the ball over the infield. Here's Kelly. Kelly had a lot of battles with Kelly when he was playing center field for Steel Gold. Kelly drills a base hit. Another run scores. Paulie's going to run to third. So Kelly Patton looked like he never missed a beat there as he hammered it up the middle. They're only hitting 10, the 45's, and they've already spun the lineup here. It is not a squish ball. It's a 16-inch clincher. It comes out of the box pretty firm, and it'll hold its consistency.
Put that in. You're good.
So Rob Grisano, we've seen this before, where Rob has had some rough first innings as on the mound, and then he tends to settle in a little bit.
Let's go, Robbie.
But like I said, right now everything has pretty much been a humpback with the exception of the one flyout. And that ball will get through Drabel. Another run will score, and the courtesy runner will stop at third.
Hey, hit it hard.
So the 45's out of the gate hard. And they're back to their leadoff man. 6-0 early here, top of the first.
Hey, 2 down over there, Chris. Come on, over here, Chuck.
Like I said, Moneyline was swinging the bats good at the Westchester tournament. And there's a little flare, and that's going to sit. One more is it. Chuck run, takes the turn, throw wild. 2 more runs on Anthony Sanchez's. I don't know if we can call that a triple as he went to third on the throw home. And they're going to go right to the, I believe they're going to switch pitchers here. It looks like Brian Davis. Eric Mandarino is not here. So Brian Davis is going to try his hand. Oh, here is Eric. So they fooled me. He was hiding on the bench. And Eric, one of the better pitchers in the game. I think they like to start Robbie to sneak another bat in, but my take on that is
Man, he eats steak and potato like me.
can always put Robbie in as a catcher in EH sometimes. And there's a ground ball by Marola. Gannett will throw him out. So that'll end the inning. But the 45's push 8 across, Moneyline coming to bat. And I'm a big believer that you can lose a game in the first, just like you can lose it in the 7th. And I was always a big believer in getting my group out early, demanding that so that they could stretch and throw before batting practice, so they would be ready to jump defensively. And so sometimes you outthink yourself. Mike Marola getting the start at shortstop. Joe Yaris up the middle throwing curveballs to Joe Pauly. And I'm sure Joe appreciates that. So 45's great start to the ball game for them. And here's Lenny Gonzalo. We talked about Lenny in the Dome, and I thought he might be a breakout player to keep an eye on this year, and he certainly made me look smart by having a good Westchester tournament.
Yeah, 1971 he started.
Well, it's 10 after 5 here, so we got a ways to go. If you're money line here, you don't necessarily need 8, but you do want to maybe get a few. And there's Gonzalo right on cue with a line drive base hit. Leadoff man on. So here comes Brian Davis. Pat, make sure the scorekeeper knows. So here's Brian Davis. Another guy had a tremendous Westchester tournament between Lenny and Brian. They were very, very potent 1-2 punch during the weekend, and they were shorthanded during the entire weekend. And there's a little chopper as I put the Maluk on and the throw to first. What a scoop there by Joe Pauly. So little chopper by Davis, and they turn the double play as Joe Pauly bails out Joe Yaris, who threw it into the ground, and that was a lot harder than it looked, folks. So leadoff single wiped out here.
Hey, let's go, Jay. Start it. Start it.
And it brings up Jason Gannett, who also had a tremendous Westchester tournament. And if you scroll down, and you can see who the current leaders are for the summer series. One event in, batting averages based on 12 at-bats. The next leg of that is next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend at the North-South out in Berwyn. There's a ground ball, and Joe Yaris up the middle makes the play. So they end up going 3 up, 3 down despite the single. And we're going to head to the top of the second, 8-0 45's here early. So they tell me warm weather is on the way. They just don't know when. I think next week is supposed to be dramatically warmer. So hopefully it'll get here. Because it wasn't that cold temperature-wise at the Westchester tournament. The TOC, Tournament of Champions, as it's called. But because of the biting wind out there, and some of those batting statistics may have been a little inflated due to the wind, but it's always interesting to keep track during the season to see who can maintain it. So here's Scotty Vetter, second at-bat of the ball game already. And Vetter lays out another rope as he drills it down the line. Davis gets on it quick, but it's going to be a double. So the 45's is barreling up on everything right now. And I got a feeling that Eric maybe thought he was going to be pitching the second game. So I'm kind of trying to get loose here before the inning started. Chris Lentine tries to go the other way. That'll drift way out of play. Of course, we will have the North-South preview show with Jerry Brown and myself once we get the draw. And of course, we'll be out at the North-South streaming all weekend. And live on Game Changer and the tournament page. So and this Saturday will be an interesting day as well, as we'll be out in Forest Park as they're going to dedicate the street next to McGaffer's in honor of Pat Malone, longtime proprietor. Pat done a lot of stuff for Little League and 16-inch softball in Forest Park. And there's another line drive. Vetter's going to score to make it 9-0. And right now, all of these swings look like they're coming out of the Xerox machine. Here's Joe Yaris, so 9-0. Sometimes when you're short-handed, you got a shorter lineup. Teams tend to surprise you a little bit because they're more relaxed. A lot of guys don't worry that they're going to come out of the game at some point. They know they're going to get their hacks in. And then a lot of times teams just take the attitude of what the heck, we got nothing to lose, and they just free swing. And I think there's a little of that going on. Not that the 45's are not capable of scoring runs with their full team. And there's a high fly ball drifting over center fielder, and he'll flip it in. So Nick out in center makes the play, and Nick, I believe,
I scored first. That's right.
He's got a brother on the team. I don't know which of the guys on the team, but they all think that he's going to be a real good player. Chris Downs hustling in, makes the catch. So it's the first time in the game back-to-back hitters on the 45's haven't barreled up. So here's Isidro. Isidro's been very solid in right field. Still waiting for him to settle in a little bit here with the 45's with the bat, but this kid's got a lot of physical talent.
Back.
Of course, he played on the Demons when they won the SSA Class A Tom Zarnik No Glove National Championship. And there's a base hit. So Isidro checks in. They're going to send Lentine, throw to the plate, not in time. And you might have heard ran. And you see, Isidro was waiting to see if that throw was going to be the cutoff man. It was a little off target. Kind of didn't take quite as big a turn as he should have, and should have been on second. And that's a tricky thing. If you're a base runner, you always got to be careful that they don't hit the cutoff man, and then you're dead meat going to the next base. So here's Izzy Sanchez, 10-0 45's. There's a little ground ball handled by Lane Neiman Jr. and Ryan Drebo can't make the play. And there's another example, 2 outs and a ground ball hit slowly to the second baseman. Isidro needs to find his way to third on that if he can. Here's Kelly Pat. course, for the 45's, you only got 10 guys. You got a big lead. You don't want to get anybody hurt. So I don't believe they have anybody. Kelly swings through that. Looked like he was trying to go down the right field line there.
Let's go.
Better go up on that swing, kid.
Kelly hard line drive base hit, and Eric tries to get him to bite on a fastball, but he takes it. It was illegal. Didn't clear to 6. And there's a little ground ball, and he gets a second base hit up the middle. Another run scores. Kelly Patton a couple of hits and some RBIs early in this game. They're trying to get Mike Marola. They got no base runner here. So Mikey made the last out. The other 2 outs are guys they're running for. So here's Chuck Regaldo, the center fielder. And the hit parade continues. 8 in the first, 3 here, and counting in the second. And Chuck drives it right at Nick, who makes the catch. So at the end of an inning and a half, it's been all 45's. And Mike Marola played on that slap and tickle team. He actually was the pitcher in the championship game out in Yuma over the weekend. And we've seen Mike play the outfield, the infield, and pitch so far for the 45's. And major teams love having guys that can play multiple positions, because right now Jeff Mastari, the only guy on the bench, is struggling with a little bit of a shoulder injury, so he has not played in the last 3 games or so for the 45's, and that's a big loss. Jeff, one of the up-and-coming stars in the game, a legacy kid. His dad, Frank, was a terrific shortstop for the 45's in the heyday. And Rob Grisano gets a hit, and that ball's going to get, nice job there by Chuck. That ball looked like it was going to get past him, and he just batted it over to Sanchez. I don't think Robbie was expecting that. Had to kind of turn it into another gear and just beat the throw. Brings up Lane Neiman Jr. So that's an example where Robbie was anticipating that ball maybe getting a little deeper into the gap and thought he was going to Cadillac. And Lane Neiman Jr., hard one-hopper to Yaris, and he throws the long one-hopper right on the money. Easily handled there by Joe Pauly. And that's a good example, too. That ball was hit behind Lenny, was hit to his left hand, and Joe had to scoot up the middle. That's a play where he needs to get to third base. So here's Ryan Drebo, little chopper to Vetter. High throw, a little too tall.
My bad, I came down right in the way.
And in case you're wondering why there was no obstruction there, is the throw was high. He just jumped up in the air trying to catch it.
You're good, you're good.
And on his way down, there was a little bit of contact. That's just kind of considered a collision play where the ball and the runner and everything converges at once. And that's going to bring up Eric Davis now. Runners on the corner with 1 out here. Nick Drabo on deck. And he tries to go the other way off of Pauly, but the ball takes him right to the runner. And a run scores. And that's a smart heads-up play there by Joe. He could have caught it and tried to go back to the bag, but in doing so, he would have turned his back to the runner on second. And Eric Davis was flying down the line, so he just tagged him. Kept himself in a little better position to track what was going on there. So 11-1 here. Here's Nick. And Nick punches it up the middle. That's going to score run number 2. So Moneyline here in the second, showing some signs of life. Brings up Chris Downs with the young center fielder, Nick, on deck.
Way deep, way deep. We're not concerned about you at all.
Let's go, CD.
Chris takes a strike.
Do I?
And that's way inside here. If you're Israel, you don't want to be putting anybody on a base. And Chris slaps it at Vetter, a little bobble. Chris Downs on the run, and they just nip him. Bang, bang play at first. So Scotty Vetter got a break there. The ball bounced and stayed right in front of him there, and he was able to recover with a strong arm. And that play was close. So we're going to head top of the third, 11-2. And again, if you're the 45's, you can't take anything for granted. You don't want to go drive for an inning or two and allow Moneyline to maybe get themselves back into it. So top of the lineup, third inning, Anthony Sanchez already his third at-bat of the ball game. Move a little closer. Again, we are live from Bulger Park. And Anthony, a little ground ball right at Nick Drabel. And Brian Drabel got a little handcuff there, but throw from his brother. And right now, Moneyline has not been very sharp defensively. So they've had a couple of bobbles and a couple of balls go through infielders. Here's Marola, and he goes to dribble, and he can't recover. A little contact.
I know.
So you see Mike wanted to make sure Eric was okay, but Eric said he knew he was coming, so he was kind of braced for it. So we've seen a couple of collisions here at first base. So first two hitters on for Vetter. Pitch is a little high. Moneyline looking for a double play ball here. And there's a hard ground ball. He'll go to short way, and Davis will just hold on to it for out number 1. So that ball pulled the shortstop into the hole. It would have been a tough throw to second to get Marola. Vetter still runs pretty good. So he took the safe out and got the lead runner. Here's Lentine. And Eric looks a little more active off the mound as he looks like he's starting to get loose and in the game. But there's a base hit. That's going to score Marola, and they'll get it in right away. So the 45's score another run, push it back to 10, and here's Yaris.
One down, kid, one down. One down. Time is through.
Yeah, days like this when your whole team is hitting, every hole looks gigantic. And infield's in pretty good shape, but it's playing very fast tonight. And there's a hard ground ball. Lane Neiman, a little bobble, another run scores, so the 45's, after giving up 2, pick them right back up and get back to that 11-run lead. Another RBI for Yaris.
You got 2 down right there. You got to go hard. I need one right here, kid.
And it brings up Joe Pauly.
Nobody there, Chris. Nobody there. Right behind you.
Joe, very versatile. We've seen him play third, short, center, tonight first. And even though he's hitting 6 today, a lot of times when he's in the lineup, he might be pushed down a little bit. But this guy could pretty much play on just about any team in softball.
Hey, Ray, put that down as a set. Come on, Joe Paulo.
And he rips a single. Another run scores. 14-1. I always laugh because before the game, Israel Sanchez was telling me they were short-handed tonight. And I was kidding. If I waited for everybody to be full squad, I'd do probably 3 games a summer. So here's Isidro. Punched a single through the infield his last time up. So if you haven't checked out the latest installment of Inside the Cave with Joel Alejandro, and there's a little ground ball. Nick Drabo will beat Paulie to the bag, and we'll head to the bottom of the third. A lot of work for Moneyline to do here. And it'll be Nick, Brian, and Eric coming up. Sat down with Tommy Lentine Jr. Tommy, one of the nicest kids you're going to meet in softball. And Wednesday, tomorrow at 7 p.m., we'll have another installment where he sat down with Curtis Ostrom from Hex. And I got to warn you, there was some adult languages. Those are all filmed in real time, and then we slap a beginning and an end on it. We don't edit them, so keep that in mind. So here's Nick, center fielder.
Heavy?
And Nick swings. Joe Yaris got another tough hop. So Joe's gotten a couple of hard hops, and for a guy that hasn't been out much, he's playing a pretty good short center. He had the one low throw, but Joe Paulie bailed him out. And here's Eric. So, oh, I see. They put Eric in for Brian. Okay, I got it. Well, Michael, I would assume when you say good game, line drive and Mandarino base hit. I think that might be depending on which team you're a fan of. So here's Lenny Gonzalo, top of the lineup here. And Gonzalo, and that ball is dying in the air, but Chuck Regaldo stayed right with it, made a little sliding catch. So nice play there by the center fielder. I think Chuck thought that ball was going to carry a little bit. The wind knocked it down, and you see he kind of had the circle route, but he recovers and makes the play. So here's Brian Davis. So 2 outs. Eric will be running on the swing. And there's a hard ground ball. Chris Lentine can't make the play. Mandarino will cruise into third. Runners on the corner now for Jason Gannett. Moneyline right now needs something dramatic to happen. Jason had a great tournament. The TLC I think he hit 3 or 4 doubles, a couple of triples, and I think he threw in a home run. So when you're getting extra base hits like that, you're doing a great job. I always thought if you were a really good hitter, a 30-year hits should be extra base hits. And a lot of the really great teams, when the 45's were at the top of their game in the early 2000s, Gannett pounds a hit up the middle, one will score, and that's going to make it 14-4. or 3, excuse me. So I always thought that was the key when the 45's. Here's Rob Crisano. And Robbie and Mike Marola, great read, steals a base hit. We'll head to the top of the 4th, 14-3. So when the 45's were dominating and that team won, I want to say 6 straight majors, and they might have won 4 no gloves. Everybody thought that they were just bombing home runs. What they did was they doubled you to death. And I was with Flashback. Our team in 2011 was like that. They just hit double after double after double. And it's hard to win or play a team when they got guys standing on second base all the time. And of course that 45 team of the early 2000s was, and that ball's going to drift foul, was just chock full of Hall of Famers, as is proving to be the case with that Flashback team. And a lot of that is running hard out of the box. And if you watched any of the videos from the Westchester tournament, I was kind of harping on that for you younger kids. Don't admire your handiwork. Put your head down and run hard. And Israel back to Eric and didn't quite get the hand open. It looked like he might have hurt one of those digits on a hand. Everybody thinks this is a mush ball. It's not, folks. These guys just make the game look easy, but it is one of the best games you'll ever want to play. So here's Kelly Patton. A couple of hits in the ball game. Joe Yaris and Kelly Patton both having good ball games here for the 45's. And Kelly, little chopper, as I put the Maluk on him, and that'll be out number 2, and it brings up Chuck Regaldo. And Moneyline desperately needs a goose egg. As we're approaching the halfway mark of this ball game. And Chuck's actually, we talk all the time about what a good defensive outfielder he is, but seems to be hitting the ball with more authority this year, more consistently. And he's still a young kid. When he really figures out the bat, he's going to be really an elite player. He's already elite defensively. And there's a hard ground ball. Mandarino knocks it down. So they get the goose egg. 45's go 1-2-3. First time in the ball game they failed to score in an inning. Trailing by 11 halfway through. Moneyline. Needs to put a crooked number up. So we'd like to thank a few of our sponsors. Of course, Sweet Buzz. You see their nice logo up in the left-hand corner. If you're an adult and you use infused products, you might want to check them out. And of course, Nick Drabo is playing short center on Moneyline tonight, one of the co-owners of that company. So if you run into him at the North-South or another tournament, feel free to talk to him about them. And I also like to thank Rich Melman and Let Us Entertain You Restaurants. Rich has been with us since day one and is part of the big reason why we're able to do what we do. So thank you very much, Rich. And there's a humpback by Lane Neiman Jr. leading off the inning. And, of course, Tito's handmade vodka, America's original handcrafted vodka. Please drink responsibly. Of course, the Zarnik family, who underwrite the SSA Tom Egg Zarnik Class A No Glove National Championship, will be back up in Schaumburg toward the end of June for that. So that's always fun to see the A-teams fighting it out, seeing the future stars of 16-inch softball. And Ryan Drabel slaps a hit, so first two hitters on here. In the last couple innings, Moneyline's been hitting the ball much better. And that's going to bring up Eric Davis with Nick Drabel on deck. And Eric, a little roller over to Chris Lentine. Both runners will advance. Now, normally you'd say, you know, that's a good job of moving the runners, but when you're down 11, you're looking for a base hit there. And here's Nick Drabel. And there's a swing and a little flare, and Isidro makes the catch, but that will score the fourth run for Moneyline again. You're not really looking to give yourself up down this margin, so after the first two hitters had a little ground out and a soft fly out, and if you're the 45's, you're more than okay with that. Here's Chris Down, another duck on the pond out there. And Chris, a short fly ball, Isidro camped, and he makes the catch. As we got a little bit of sunshine creeping in right at the horizon. So top of the fifth, still 45's in great control here. And it should be the top of the 45 lineup. Anthony Sanchez, Mike Marola, and Scotty Vetter. So Moneyline has just not recovered from that 8-run first. And the 45's came out throwing ropes all over the place. And right now, if you're Moneyline, you need to hold it here. You're already down 10. And in the bottom of the fifth, you'd need at least one. You don't want to make that job any harder. Sanchez, fair ball. Ryan handles it for out number one. So here's Mike Marola.
What? Come on, Mike.
Good eye, kid. Good eye, kid.
Come on, Mike.
And Mike, a little ground ball. Jason Ganick makes the play for out number two. And that brings up Scott Vetter. And right now on the other diamond, Fat Kid's leading iron, I believe 6-1. So Scotty Vetter here, 45's in jeopardy now of possibly going dry 2 innings in a row.
Put on Chris. Put on Chris.
And Vetter chops it. Davis, a little bobble, long throw, not in time. So that's been part of not to take anything away from the 45's for hitting the ball.
Hold on, try.
And here's a ball rolling into our diamond from the other field. And looks like the fat kids are opening up down there. So 2 outs runner on here for Chris Lentine.
Got 2 down, kids.
Come on, Chris. Come on, 30. Come on, 30. Come on, Chris. 2 outs. 3 outs.
Good right here, kid.
Chris swings, and that ball's going to drift out of play. Didn't get a chance to talk to Mike Marola, but heard that they had hot weather out in Yuma all weekend. I wonder if this is a little shock to his system as he was traveling all weekend. And of course, he's young still.
Me and my buddies.
And they are fat kids hitting some bombs down on the other field. So here's Chris Lentine.
Sit down, kid. Over here.
And there's a swing and a line drive base hit. Vetter was moving on the pitch. And good job by Eric Mandarino to climb the ladder there. So 2 outs now, Joe Yaris. 45's just keep that carousel spinning.
We got 2 down, kid.
So this is, I know it sounds crazy, but this is a potential big out, and he beats Davis down the line after hitting a few line drives. Yaris over the top, and they're going to send him a 3-run, 2-out bomb by Joe Yaris. As Joe just hit a scalding line drive over the top of Ricky Davis. Sorry, folks, got to the replay a little late.
Now, JP, Cedro, is he?
That's how long it took Joe to get around the bases. He chewed up my 14 seconds of lead time. You like that, Ram?
I got a flat.
Come on, JP.
17-4. Joe Pauly. So they're going to need at least 4 in the bottom of the 7th. Pauly, little ground ball to Dre ball.
No ball.
And Nick stood up a little early on that.
We got Cedro, is
And you can see right now that the Moneyline guys right now
he?
look like they've checked out a little bit mentally.
I know, baby.
All right, we got 2 down, kid.
And the Sidro and Dre ball, that got deflected by Mandarino. You see Nick's a little aggravated. He's had kind of a rough day at short center. So we head to a do or die bottom of the 5th. They need 4 runs for the game to continue. Meanwhile, can't see the scoreboard. I think it's 9-1 Fat Kids down there. It's going to be Brian. Excuse me. It's going to be Nick, Eric, and then the top. And right now, if you're Moneyline, you can't be thinking about giving yourself up. You got to go up there thinking a swing, because you need hits and lots of them. So right now, if you don't get a hit, it's not a productive at-bat. And there's a little ground ball to Yaris, a little fumble, strong arm, safe at first. So the center fielder beats it out. And I think that was Joe Pauly telling the young player, nice hustle. Like to see when the older veteran guys encourage the younger players. Here's Mandarino, singled his last time. There's a chopper to Vetter, and he goes the short way, safe at second. So Vetter elected to go the short way. He caught the short hop clean. His throw pulled Yaris off the bag. And in these situations, you usually tell your guys, just make the simple play. It would have been easier to throw to first. Scotty charged it, caught it clean. Here's Lenny, and Lenny pounds it up the middle, and that sneaks through. And he's going to score. So Nick, showing his wheels there, scored from second on that infield hit. 17-5, still nobody out. And here's the pinch hitter.
Let's go, Pete. Come on, kid. Come on, Pete.
So Pete going to take a swing here.
Let's go, press. Come on, kid.
He's way deep.
And he hits a high fly ball. Isidro camped. He makes the catch. The runner will advance and go to third. One out. It's going to bring up Jason Ganick now. Runner's on the corner here.
Come on, Jay. It's yours.
One out.
Deep.
Rod Grisano on deck. They still need 3 runs to
Here you go, Jay.
keep
Come
the
on,
game alive.
Chris, watch that jump, Chris.
And Ganick hits a high towering fly ball. Going back is Sanchez. He can't get to it. Fair ball. These may be the 3. No, they'll hold Ganick at third, but it's 17-7. So with one out now, you could make the case you want Grisano to go for a hit, but in order for the game to continue, you must score this run. And you don't want to end up the runner at third and having the mercy rule kick in. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. What you want Robbie to do is elevate, try to hit a gap. So if he doesn't quite get the ball to sit, he at least drives in a run here. So you got to be productive in one way or the other here. And Robbie, a little ground ball, and that will score the run. And we'll take a replay look at that. As Robbie was hustling, and he may have beat that out. So here we'll take a look at the replay. Yeah, I think he did beat that out. And here's Lane Neiman Jr., and he pounds it. And Lane will stop here, but they do score that 8th run. So there will be a 6th inning. Here's Ryan Drebo. So Moneyline on the brink of the mercy rule, scores the 4 runs they needed to keep the game going. And they haven't, they've hit the ball better. And there's another base hit, so they're starting to swing the bats a little bit. The only question is, did they start too late, and did those few miscues that kept a couple of innings alive? So 2 outs, everybody will be running on the swing. Here's Eric Davis. And Eric pounds a pump back. That's going to score another run. And now it's 17-9. And Moneyline has shown a propensity. We've talked about it in the past. They tend to fall behind a lot of times, and then they tend to just come storming back. Again, I don't know if this hole is going to be a little too big. Here's Ryan Drabel, or Nick Drabel. And Nick goes, Isidro's there, that'll end the inning, but they do push a fin across. And they make it 17-9, the closest they've been in a few innings. And we're going to head to the top of the 6th, 45 still in control. So that big bomb by Yaris, with 2 outs in the top of the 5th, looking even bigger. Otherwise, it'd be a 5-run game right now.
The line ended when it went over the shoulder. Right there.
So it's going to be Israel Sanchez, Kelly Patton, and Chuck Regaldo.
Hey, come on, boys, defense. Hold it!
Good pitchy.
Been kind of an odd game. Normally, if you were in the top of the 6th and you had 9 runs on the board, you'd figure you'd be in pretty decent shape. And Israel knocked down by Mandarino, and he'll make the play for out number 1. And again, that's all you can do if you're Moneyline. You've got to find a way to get a goose egg and then try to throw another 4 or 5 spot up there. Here's Kelly Pat. Now the interesting thing is, for guys like Kelly and Joe who haven't, Yaris, who haven't been playing a lot, they got a second game tonight. And there's a little humpback, and Ganek will make the play. So you always wonder now, if you walk down to the other diamond, how much gas you got in the tank when you're not necessarily used to playing a lot. And here's Chuck Regaldo. So Mandarino trying to get a 1-2-3 inning. And looking ahead to the bottom of the 6th, it'll be Chris Downs, the center fielder Nick, and Eric Mandarino, bottom 3rd of the lineup. And Chuck keeps the inning alive as he throws it, takes the turn, throw off line, stand up double for Chuck. And that's a good looking swing there by Chuck. We told you he's off to a pretty decent start this year, hitting the ball much better. And just swept it into right field.
Hey, we got 2 down, kid. We got 2 down right there.
And it brings up the top of the lineup and Anthony Sanchez. So we had an interesting, and there's a base hit. Sanchez drives in another run as he stays hot. And Anthony off to a great start this summer. And very pleased to see he's moving very well. Had some leg injuries toward the end of last season, but it seems like he's recovered very well. And brings up Mike Marola. Eric tried to flatten out at him, as Mike does like to raise his hands and either cut or... And he slaps it right to Ganek. Strong arm up the line. And now they got a pickle. Threw it too soon. And he's under the slide. And I think that was the right call. I think that was the right call. I think Brian got the ball and kind of did a phantom tag there. Ball was thrown a little quick. Anthony was in no man's land. And if you're Ryan, you got to run directly at him and force him to break before you make the throw. He threw it right to second, so Anthony had a full head of steam going to third. And he slid, and that's why he was safe. He didn't give himself up. So the 45's short-handed, but playing hard. 18-9. Base hit here would put them back in mercy rule territory and put the pressure on. High fly ball. That'll be the third out as Davis makes the catch. So we're going to head to the bottom of the sixth, 18-9. The game will go 7. 11-1. Fat Kids laying it on iron on the other diamond. So the 45's top has been very consistent in this ball game, and they push a couple of more across. Don't worry, I trust Paulie.
That's the only person who's ever said that to me. Oh my gosh! What was that?
And having some fun. Paulie says you're the only guy to ever say that. So, big hole here for Moneyline. Every time it looks like they might shorten the lead here, 45's have answered. And there's a high fly ball. Now I have to ask, hey Joe, Catherine says to call you Paulie Pancakes.
Thanks, babe.
Says thanks, babe. I assume that's your wife or girlfriend.
That's my wife, yeah.
All right. I thought he was going to say.
Always at home watching.
I thought you were going to say mistress, but that would have been bad. But don't worry, I got a guy. If you need a divorce. So, and now we distracted Joe into a mishandle.
Work out. Throw to bed.
Damn it!
So the speedy young center fielder finds his way on again. Had an infield hit his last time up. And here's Eric Mandarino. Top looming, and he walks the dog into right field. And now he almost overran the bag, but they threw it through.
I got everything. I got everything. I got fucking everything. I got everything.
So Chuck is giving Eric some grief, saying, where'd you get that swing? And Eric told him, I got everything. And Eric does know how to find his way on. Here's Lenny Gonzalo, and there's a hard ground ball. Great play to get the fielder's choice as Yaris got to a tough ball and flipped it to Marola. They can't get the double play, but they do get the fielder's choice, and here's Brian Davis. 2 outs. So Yaris having himself a nice little performance at short center.
In the outfield.
You got 2, right?
2 out.
And I tell you, this is the first time I've seen the 45 since the TOC. And they had kind of a tough day on Sunday, but they come out here on a cool night, short-handed, and they're playing a very crisp ball game.
You're good.
And Davis hammers it past Yaris, a run scores. That'll make it 18-10. Two outs now for Gannett. 3-run bomb here could make it a 5-run ball game. And they are playing them deep and left and center. Sidro, I would say, playing them about medium. And we have seen Gannett go hard down the right field line on occasion.
Right.
And he's got a decent amount of room if he hits a line drive that way. And there he just goes up the middle, 18-11. Davis thought about it and then came back, 18-11. So they've cut it to 7 here with Rob Grisano.
touchdown down.
And they're going to courtesy run for Brian Davis. And, of course, Brian, a lot of mileage on those wheels. A couple of years ago, he was having some knee issues. Had to get his knee drained a couple of times. So, and Robbie, I don't know what exactly he was doing on that swing. And they are deep all the way around in the outfield. With Lane Neiman Jr. on deck. And Robbie delivers. Ganick is going to try to go to third, throw off line, 18-12. So they'll get a runner, and here comes Lane Neiman Jr. Frank Jekyll going to come in and run here. Frank's off to a decent start this year as well. Had a great dome season. Fat Kids, looks like Iron's coming back. I think it's 11-5. I can't see the one number. There's a crossbar, and Lane Neiman scalds it. Long throw by Marola in time. Off his back foot. Of course, Mikey originally a center fielder. And we're going to head to the 7th. This is the closest Moneyline's been since the game started. And they're in desperate need now of a goose egg, to say the least. So Ganick hit it hard, but right at Marola. And we got ourselves a 6-run lead. Okay, it looks like I'm rotating around here. It looks like it's 12-5, top of the 7th, Fat Kids. So here's Chris Lentine, then Joe Yaris and Joe Pauly. So Catherine, if you're still watching, your man's going to get another hack in this game. And there he tries to turn and burn, but foul. Wasn't hit that hard. I think if it was fair, I don't think Chris Downs would have got to it, but the ball drifted foul. And if you're the 45's here, you just kind of want to push another run or two across. Moneyline the last couple of innings have had multiple run innings. And we talk all the time, sometimes how you finish a game is as important as winning or losing, because they were down really big in this game. They got it to 6. And I'm sure that they're going to look back on this game and they're going to, and there's some reinforcements. Vincesi, he might get a swing here, who knows? So that's bad news, I think, if you're a Kelly Patton fan for game number 2 tonight. Although Kelly's been productive. So 1 out, nobody on here, top of the 7th. And Yaris spanked it. So Joe's kind of moved the ball around. He went right center, big bomb to dead left. And there he was trying to cut over the infield, but didn't quite elevate it. I think Ganick is saying that ball had a little action on it.
Hey, Joe, come on, JP.
So 2 outs, and here's Joe Pauly. And I see Adam Haas is here as well. So 45's will have a couple of their starters for game 2 on the other diamond. I think they're going to be playing Iron next. And they're in the bottom of the 7th, 12-5 down there. And Pauly creases a base hit into center field. So Joe stays hot.
Turn, look and stuff.
And it brings up Isidro. So 2 outs here. 45's have scored a few runs tonight with 2 outs.
Come to that over there, my guy.
On your horse, Joe.
And if you're money line, you want to have a realistic chance. You need to find a way out of this inning with Israel Sanchez on deck. It wouldn't surprise me to see Vincesi swing for him.
Hold on, kid.
You're good here.
Eric grabs a strike.
You're good right here. Good here.
And Eric has done a little better job. I think he's given up more runs in the game than. And there's a little weird roller, and that'll be the 3rd out. So do or die 7th coming up. 6 to keep the game going. 7 walks him off. Anything less, and the 45's will put another win in the box, and they're going to put Adam in at first base, and they're going to shift Joe Pauly to second base. Of course, Chris Lentine will slide behind the plate. Israel Sanchez re-enters. So it's going to be Ryan Drebo, Ricky Davis, and Nick Drebo. And Chris did okay at second. He's not an infielder by trade. Chris Lentine normally started out playing the outfield, primarily catches and EHs now, but he was adequate at second base today. He did a nice job. And there's a little flip. Isidro won't be able to get there. Leadoff man on. So Moneyline, who's been scoring the last few innings, looking to continue the trend. And maybe pull a shocker and come back from the grave. As they're trying to climb into zombie mode here. And Davis goes big, but Sanchez is there. Now he got turned around, but he makes the catch. So the wind's died down a little bit. Looks like it's pushing a little bit more toward what would be the left field corner. And that ball just kind of kept carrying. He kind of got twisted and he had to do a 360, but he made the over-the-shoulder catch. So here's Nick Drebo, and he gets it up in the air. Sanchez is there, a lot easier play, and now they're down to their last out, and Chris Downs. So Moneyline, after falling way behind, has made the score respectable. They still got one more out to play with here, but it's going to be a tall order. And Downs, a little hard ground ball. Marola, long throw. Safe at first. Now the ball kind of spins away. And the game will continue now. Still need a couple of hits to be dangerous. And it brings up the young center fielder, Nick. Infield hits his last 2 times up. And there's a little roller, and Yaris will step on it, and the 45's jumped up 8-0 after 1. Little minor scare, but they hold on to win the ball game. So look for the Inside the Cave with Joel Alejandro interviewing Kurt Ostrom. That'll drop tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And we'll be out showing you the Pat Malone street naming out in Forest Park on Saturday, and we'll try to get some more. One more note for those of you still on: if you're going to be in the north-south and you did not play in the TOC, you need to get me a roster no later than the draw. For all other teams, your rosters are going to be due June 5th. Again, if you're going to play in the North-South, you got to have your roster by the draw. That is an SSA rostered event and part of the Chicago Summer Series. Pat Caputo just threw a strike. So just a little note, we'll post more information on the rosters. For you out-of-state teams, you need to get me your rosters, and that includes Rismondo, Rufex, and whoever else might be coming in. So we'll put something online. So on behalf of SSA Broadcasts, the SSA, George Bliss out in Sarasota, this is Gio saying we hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. And we are closing in on our next milestone number, 37,000, I believe it's coming up. We're only a couple of hundred short. So tell your friends, have them follow the page, and we'll talk to you real soon. Be safe.